What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be spectating random players in Fortnite Zero Build, going over what I think they do well, what they could do differently, and just the state of the game right now. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below how you feel about this season having a month remaining, because I don't remember the timeline exactly, but this season was supposed to end March 4th, I believe. And then at some point within the last month or so, they added 2 weeks on top of that. So it now ends on March 19th, which isn't a huge change. But it is kind of unfortunate because this season was definitely on the longer side as is. So tacking some time on top of that is not great. Hopefully we do continue to get some content throughout. Fortnite does have a long catalog of content that has been added over the years that can, just get unbolted for random updates and whatnot. I'm not sure if this is a human or not. We'll find out, I guess. Yeah, it is. I think, maybe. All right. I'm still not sure if it's a human, but we will see. The fact that they showed mercy on me does not make me excited to spectate them. See, this was their first mistake. Don't show mercy on the island. Don't be friendly to other players. You got to be ruthless out here. So I do not expect this player to win. We will see, though. But as I was saying, there is years worth of content that they can unvault and add to the game. So it might not be the worst month ever, but we'll have to see how things go. It is if the season was incomplete, it is probably better to delay it than release an absolute disaster. But it's hard to say early on. Wait, his pet kind of matches his skin, because his skin is like black and pink, and then the pet is also like black and pink. That's good. There's people fighting on the other side of the POI, but this player doesn't really have any mobility to get there quickly. Like, they could launch pad over there, which would maybe be pretty helpful since there are tall buildings here, but it's not as fast as like shockwaving onto the fight or something like that. And this POI recently got a little bit worse because there previously was K-pop Demon Hunters NPCs here that would sell those items. But those have been vaulted because the K-pop Demon Hunters items were also vaulted. I think I may have just seen somebody in the building behind him, but it might have been the AI as well. The building the bride spawns in to his left. I thought I saw something on that balcony, but it might have just been the NPC walking around. But also, if there was somebody up there, they probably would have gotten shot by now, so it is what it is. Pretty decent setup. I'm not the biggest fan of the Enforcer AR, but if you are going to use the Enforcer AR, I think you definitely want to run the dual shotguns or the Sovereign shotgun with it. This guy's a bush, so unfortunately his first shotgun shot isn't going to do any damage there. But again, luckily he had the duels for that. So the bush will block the first shot's worth of damage. And if he had shot a pump there, that's rough. Like wasting an entire pump shot, but the duels have such a fast fire rate that it doesn't really matter that that guy's a bush. And he has right shoulder peek on that car with an enemy pushing into him, so that's probably always going to be a very winnable fight. Drops the Enforcer R for the Flex SMG. What I was going to say is the Enforcer R is quite good at long range, but it really struggles as close range spray weapon. And that's why I was saying I'd be happy to see him use the duels if he is going to use the Enforcer AR. Like, it just doesn't combo that well with a pump. It can. Like, if you pump into, Enforcer hipfire headshots, you'll kill somebody incredibly quick. But, the likelihood of that happening or, the consistency of it is just not very large. But he goes for the Flex SMG anyways. Maybe he goes to a pump now? Okay, no, he stays with duels. The Flex SMG is also incredibly good. If I was going to use the Flex SMG, though, we'll see what he does with this. Okay. So, the Flex SMG excels in close to medium range, right? And it's a solid weapon, but clearly lacks at long range compared to, the Deadeye AR. And the main benefit of using the Flex would get that, get better killing power in close to medium range. And so, if he was going to stick with the Flex, I feel like you don't need the duels as much. I feel like the Flex pairs better with the pump than it does the duels. Like, it's the end of the world to use the duels, but the duels not needing a spray weapon, I feel like makes just the long range of the Deadeye kind of preferred. He knows there's somebody around here because his crown is on the ground. Now this player knows he's here. They shockwave on him. Unfortunately, the player was spectating lost. GG's. Just the movement this player had made it very hard for him to like do anything. And he got hit hard by a green sovereign. So that was like an okay idea. He saw the crown marked on the map, so he's like, okay, there's definitely somebody around here. But unfortunately, he just gets shockwaved on, and then there's not too much he can do to really regain the fight because he didn't really hit anything with his dual shotguns, and this player hit a hard shot with their sovereign. And like the HP discrepancy that created just makes it so hard for the player we're spectating to win, unfortunately. And this is the power of Flowberry Fizz. And if you wanted to use the Flex SMG, I feel like this would be like the ideal playstyle. You got to be really aggressive. And this player having Shockwave and Fizz is just going to be an absolute menace. There's fighting going on at Sus Studios. This player chose the wrong time to fight the boss because he's just going to Fizz Shock on them and then land in their face with the pump or the sniper and kill them. The person is up top. And a lot of time... Oh, wow. That's actually perfect. Oh, unfortunately, they get sniped. But they, like, shockwaved him away and used his Fizz against him. Yeah, he's just going to run this kill down, and there's not too much that can happen. But what I was going to say is... if you're, like, Fizz shocking onto somebody from a decent distance like that, sometimes they just get no audio on you at all. And so I thought the player we were spectating was going to completely catch that other enemy off guard. But they had kind of ended up in a weird spot anyways because of the way they're fighting Brutus. Trying to fight these bosses in the mid game like this, especially at a POI like Sus Studios, is just not it. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about before with the Flex SMG. He could have the dual mythics right now when they are very good, but if you're going to be using the SMG anyways, I feel like the main reason to do that would be to combo it with a pump. Unfortunately, he's out of mobility. That is not good for how he wants to play. There's shockwaves to his left, luckily. But yeah, I feel like this player wants to just be Fizz shocking onto every single fight possible. And they're confident with their snipes, and they're confident with their pump shots. And the Flex SMG melts. And so any fight that starts on somewhat neutral terms is probably just going to be an auto win for them because of how aggressive they're playing. And it's like a weird kind of catch-22 because a lot of times just pushing somebody and jumping on them with no early damage is a very risky way to play unless you're very good at the game. And this player's aim seems to be like, you know, immaculate. I think I know who this is. Actually, I don't know, actually. We'll see after this game, maybe. Okay, yeah, no, it's not who I thought it was. But yeah, like the fact that this player's aim is so good and they're so confident doing this makes it not as much of a gamble. This enemy is like under him. This is going to be a crazy... Yeah, this is a hard fight. If you do want to play very aggressive, I think avoiding situations like this is ideal. Anytime there's somebody ratting in an underground area, it is probably not worth fighting them. Luckily, he gets the kill. But as we've seen, the player we're spectating is very good, right? And maybe the person they just fought is also decent. But I think that was more so just a circumstance of that guy kind of like chilling in this area and it being a scuffed fight to play. And so, like I was saying, if you want to be aggressive, avoiding fights like that is so important. Even if you don't want to play aggressive, let rats rat and you'll probably have an easier time. Back to what I was attempting to say earlier though. A lot of times 50-50ing is bad. If you're very confident in your aim, it can be not as bad. With shockwaves and Fizz and how aggressive this player is going to play, he's going to catch a lot of people off guard. Pump Flex SMG has insane killing power up close. And the fact that he is playing so aggressive and dictating the terms of every single fight is what makes it playable. Or like what makes it good. He's full sending every single possible... Oh, that's unfortunate. Never mind, it's not unfortunate. It worked out. I thought he was going to shockwave himself back. But he's full sending every single fight and making the fight happen on his terms. And if you're doing that, you're going to catch a lot of people off guard. You're going to put a lot of pressure on the enemies. And people that are like average to below average, even some slightly above average players, just won't be able to play the game because of how much you're forcing them to play at a pace they're not comfortable with. I think the player that we were spectating before this one that we saw just like get completely worked by him shockwaving at him is kind of a testament to that. Like, the fight was over before it started. And this is going to be another one. He's going to shockwave through the wall. Thought he's going to shockwave through the wall and pump him, but this guy shockwaves at exactly the same time. And the wingsuit is terrible reactionary mobility. This is like a very high risk, high reward playstyle though. Because we saw it almost go bad in the tunnel earlier. You know, there's a gold pump for him. That's huge. He's been doing all this with a green pump. But if you happen to run into somebody that, you know, hits a fat pump, you could be a much worse player and lose. If you happen to run into somebody that has like high rarity duels and just hits hard, like it can go south. And previously he didn't have any heals, which is why I was going to say that like it's very high risk, high reward. And then also the fact that he's using all of his shockwaves to engage like this, when it works out, it's great. And luckily he finds more here. The shockwave spawn rate is pretty decent now. This is going to be the same thing. He's just going to like snipe. Yep. But anyways, what I was going to say, he's using his shockwaves just so much to push enemy players and to constantly travel the map, so that something does go bad for him, it might be hard for him to regain if he runs out of shocks and then is in a situation like this where he has no mobility. Right now he's chilling because he has a lot of shockwaves, and then he's also constantly fighting in an area where he has other stuff. Like, he has so much loot in this area off kills. There's vending machines. He knows where heals are if he does need to get to them. Again, about the pressure. This player is just constantly on the defensive end of this fight and not able to really do anything because of the pressure that was being output. When they got to that bush, they should have looked for an opportunity to get damage back on this person. But because they were, I feel like, panicking and scared by how aggressive this guy was playing and the amount of damage that they've already taken, because they never did anything to get damage back on the person we're spectating, that was always going to be a fight that onesie skin loses. He's going to flow shock up to the rock and then slide past them and probably pump them. Oh, never mind, he goes for the snipe. This is what I was talking about, though. So, the person, again, this player is incredibly good, but that was almost a fight that goes bad because of the over-aggression. It can work a lot, but at times it can cost you. And right there, it did, unfortunately. I think the player on the rock was probably much worse than the person we were spectating. But because they had decent aim when he was shockwaving directly at them, they were able to get enough damage on the fight, not to win it, but to grief that player later on. I just think, unfortunately, the person we were spectating got mixed up which one was the player and which one was the NPC. And then that, you know, cost him. The final player is in that bush. You just saw them walk into it. But this is, yeah, I feel like this game's basically over and there's not much worth talking about. Very interesting game, though. One player just steamrolls the lobby, playing incredibly aggressive. But at the end of the day, we see that it can kind of cost you. And the reason it cost him is because the person on the rock wasn't scared enough and they shot back. A lot of people were just folding and panicking. And I feel like at 10 out of 10 stress because somebody was shockwaving right at them. And then the first player to finally be like, wait, this guy's shockwaving at me mid-range, no tags, I'm just going to shoot my gun. Doesn't get the kill. Almost gets the kill, but griefs the player enough to where he can get third-partied. This John Wick is stressing me out, though. Like, I wonder how long this final 1v1 will take. Like, what a drastic shift in the pacing of the game. We watch a very aggressive player, and then we watch two people that seemingly aren't very comfortable playing the game. We don't really know much about the other player, but this guy just sat in the balloon. Imagine there was like a bug and he died to fall there. Does he get the gold AR? He has 2 ARs already. Like, the tac AR is somewhat of a spray weapon at the same time. But this player has no cover, no mobility. So if any timing goes poorly for him, his game is over. It is actually a direct opposite of the player we spectated for most of the game. He has eyes on them, but I think this John Wick will lose this fight. I think he's going to shoot at a time where it's not that great to shoot and then not get that much damage because of the way the MK7 is. And then the enemy is going to turn the fight and he's going to have no real means to reset that. Gonna take a bit of storm here, but it's not the biggest deal. He has floppers. He's getting lock on there. No mobility, no cover. What does he do? He takes 100 damage. He takes 150 damage. He's gonna eat his fish so he can heal, but this guy's dual shotguns. Oh no. It worked out. So those two players both got incredibly lucky for that to be a 1v1. So he just hard aims his pump and doesn't swap. And it worked out for him there. He got the kill. But I feel like that's a good example of just because something works doesn't mean it's good. The only reason that worked is because the other player wasn't very good and had bad movement. If this dual shotgun player was jumping around more and sliding more, the fact that the John Wick was just hard aiming his pump and not swapping would have cost him the game, I think. But the fish kind of like jumped and slid and then just stood right in his face. Didn't crowd spam, didn't slide anymore, didn't do anything. But yeah, I think both of those players are just lucky to be in the final 1v1. And that's kind of how Fortnite plays out sometimes, because the best player in the lobby got really unlucky and got third party. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.